6 most mysterious and bizarre archaeological discoveries that even shocked scientists. Have you ever heard of archaeological discoveries so shocking that even the most seasoned scientists were left stunned? Human history has always been full of mysteries, but there are moments when what's unearthed goes far beyond our imagination. Beneath layers of seemingly lifeless earth and stone lie strange markings, inexplicable ruins, and artifacts that raise a chilling question for the scientific community. Do we truly understand our past? What's even more unsettling is that many of these findings contain spine-tingling details, so disturbing they lead people to question whether secret civilizations once existed, or even if there are forces beyond human comprehension at play. In this video, we'll uncover 6 of the most bizarre archaeological discoveries ever recorded worldwide. Evidence that not only challenges scientific knowledge, but also sends a chill down our spines as we consider the secrets still waiting to be revealed. Are you ready? If so, let's dive into the first discovery. A 3,400-year-old Minoan tomb discovered beneath an olive tree. Amid the peaceful countryside of southeastern Crete, where ancient olive trees have cast cool shade for centuries, a rare event recently stunned the Greek archaeological community. It all began when a local farmer, on an ordinary hot afternoon, decided to park his car under a large olive tree in his garden to escape the sun. What seemed like a simple act turned out to be the beginning of a groundbreaking archaeological discovery. A 3,400-year-old tomb, dating to the final period of the legendary Minoan civilization, lay just beneath the soil he had farmed every day. The car began to sink unusually into the ground, at first just an inch or two, then quickly tipping to one side. Assuming it was caused by an irrigation leak softening the soil, the farmer tried everything he could to pull the vehicle out. But when the earth gave way, he didn't find rocks or tree roots. Instead, he uncovered several ceramic coffins buried deep underground. Stunned by what he saw, the farmer immediately notified local authorities. What followed was the start of a nationally significant excavation. Archaeologists dispatched to the site quickly determined that the farmer had inadvertently broken through the roof of an ancient tomb, carved into soft limestone using techniques typical of the late Minoan period, roughly between 1400 and 1200 BCE. The tomb had originally been sealed with large stone slabs. It likely featured a trench-style side entrance, which had long since been buried over time. The accident caused by the sinking car turned out to be the key that opened a forgotten doorway into the past, one that had been hidden beneath centuries of dust and soil. Inside the tomb, archaeologists found 2 small ceramic coffins, known as larnakis, a coffin type commonly used in Minoan burial rituals. Despite thousands of years passing, the remains inside were remarkably well preserved, thanks to the tomb's dry and sealed conditions. The 2 human skeletons were found in a fetal position, an ancient burial posture reflecting Minoan beliefs in rebirth and the cycle of life. Alongside the bodies were 2 ceremonial vessels and several colorful pieces of jewelry, possibly indicating social status or spiritual significance. Experts describe the condition of the tomb as extraordinary, not only because the artifacts were nearly intact, but also because most tombs from this period have been looted or eroded over time. Finding one in such pristine condition is extremely rare. This site offers a vivid glimpse into the technological skill and religious beliefs of the Minoans, and serves as a valuable archive for researchers studying a civilization that disappeared thousands of years ago. The Minoan civilization, famous for the Palace of Knossos, the undeciphered linear A script, and vibrant murals depicting festivals and religious ceremonies, was once considered the pinnacle of prehistoric Mediterranean culture. The fact that such a well-preserved tomb from the end of this era was found by pure chance, not during a formal archaeological survey, has sparked hope that more hidden historical treasures may still lie buried beneath Crete's unassuming soil. Now, the 2 skeletons are being transferred to a laboratory for detailed analysis. Scientists will use DNA testing, X-rays, and osteological measurements to determine the individual's age, sex, health, and diet. Meanwhile, The accompanying artifacts will be examined to determine their age, origin, and craftsmanship, offering insight into the cultural practices, spiritual beliefs, and possibly even social relationships of the late Minoan period. This strange twist of fate, an improperly parked car, unlocked an epic story buried for over 3 millennia. And it reminds us, every square foot of earth beneath our feet may be hiding a piece of human history. Sometimes, the most profound stories don't begin with massive excavations, but with life's simplest moments, like looking for shade under an old olive tree. Because beneath that seemingly quiet ground, a story lost to time might still be waiting to be told. Mass grave, containing 9 skeletons found in a family's backyard. On February 28, 2014, a family living in Sri Lanka made a shocking discovery in their backyard. A mass grave containing 9 human skeletons in the town of Putukudiarupu, located in the Mullaitivu district. The finding immediately drew public attention, especially as Sri Lanka was under growing international scrutiny over allegations of war crimes. According to police spokesperson Ajith Rohana, the remains were being carefully collected and analyzed by local forensic teams to determine the victims' identities and causes of death. What made this mass grave particularly significant was the broader political and legal context at the time, tied to Sri Lanka's long and violent civil war between the government and Tamil rebel forces. Discoveries of mass graves linked to the civil conflict are, unfortunately, not rare in Sri Lanka, and each new finding has further drawn the attention of the international community. This specific case was swiftly brought before a session of the United Nations Human Rights Council, UNHRC, in Geneva, Switzerland, where Sri Lanka faced sharp criticism from the United States and other nations over alleged war crimes, especially the killing of civilians during the conflict. Just a few months earlier, in December 2013, another mass grave had been discovered in the Mannar district, believed to contain the remains of civilians who died during the war between government forces and the Tamil insurgents. The civil war spanned several decades and inflicted severe damage on both sides, with thousands of civilians losing their lives in the prolonged conflict. The discoveries didn't stop there. In 2014, yet another mass grave was unearthed in the Matale district, this time believed to be related to an anti-government uprising that occurred between 1987 and 1990. A total of 154 skeletons were exhumed from that site. At the time, the remains were sent for forensic testing and identification, but to this day, the results of those investigations have never been made public. Nonetheless, the story of this newly found mass grave, along with the others previously uncovered, is not just a reminder of Sri Lanka's painful history, but also a lesson for the global community about the brutality of war and the enduring consequences it leaves behind. Let these discoveries serve as a call to action, to continue the pursuit of justice, peace, and truth, and to work collectively to ensure that tragedies like these are never repeated. 4,000 skeletons discovered in an underground cemetery beneath Berlin. Just beneath the bustling streets of modern-day Berlin, below the paved roads and seemingly ordinary parking lots, a stunning archaeological discovery has shocked experts. A massive underground cemetery containing the remains of nearly 4,000 individuals. Unearthed in 2024 by a team of researchers, the site revealed burials dating back as far as 1047 to 1299 CE, right in the heart of the chaotic and grim Middle Ages. More than just a large-scale archaeological find, this burial site serves as a portal into a forgotten chapter of human history, one marked by death, suffering, and survival amid disease, war, and religious conviction. Each skeleton buried beneath the ground tells a story. Among the remains were the fragile bones of children, many showing heartbreaking signs of rickets, tuberculosis, and scabies, clear indicators of malnutrition and harsh living conditions. In an era where clean water was a luxury and medical knowledge limited to ancient scripture, death was a constant companion. For a child to survive into adulthood was nearly a miracle. The remains of adult men painted a different picture, brutal and blood-stained. Many bore visible trauma from axes or swords, skull fractures, broken limbs, evidence of violent encounters, perhaps from war, uprisings, or even public executions. There were no gentle passings here, only violent ends in a ruthless age. Beyond physical pain, the cemetery also preserves traces of social class and religious belief, etched into the soil and echoed by the artifacts left behind. Some individuals were buried with unique objects: a silver coin placed in the mouth, an ancient ritual meant to pay Charon, the mythical ferryman who carried souls across the river Styx, silver brooches, iron keys, and locks, items suggesting the deceased were not ordinary townsfolk. They may have been local nobles, clergy, or individuals with significant religious or societal roles. These clues make clear this was no anonymous folk burial ground. It was a planned collective cemetery on a grand scale, one that reflects a clear social hierarchy between the 11th and 13th centuries. So why were so many people buried here? And why did this once sacred site vanish from the historical record for centuries? Historians believe the area may have once been part of a medieval monastery or hospital, possibly linked to the Cistercian order, a powerful religious movement that spread across Europe during the Middle Ages. Such monastic communities often doubled as places of healing and refuge for the poor, where life and death coexisted in every corridor and cloister. Now, after being buried beneath concrete and asphalt for hundreds of years, this cemetery has re-emerged, like a whisper from the past, offering to finish telling a story left untold. Medieval Berlin was not the metropolitan capital it is today. It was a newly forming settlement, unstable, fragmented, where power was divided among feudal lords and war and plague could strike at any time. The discovery of nearly 4,000 skeletons underscores just how brutal life was in that era. More importantly, it provides tangible evidence of a structured society with rituals, beliefs, and a clear social order, a glimpse into the cultural fabric of medieval Europe. This discovery isn't just a major archaeological milestone, it's a powerful reflection of how starkly different the past was from the present. Today, we walk, shop, and commute across land that once held the remains of thousands of souls. While we enjoy advanced medicine, abundant food, and technological comforts, just a few centuries ago, people lived under the constant threat of cold, disease, and violence, with lives as fragile as spider silk. The Berlin excavation has unearthed not just a burial site, but a whole new chapter in the city's history. A chapter about the forgotten, about buried pain, and about a past still waiting to be fully understood. This isn't just a descent into the earth, it's a descent into memory, where bones still speak, telling stories of those who once lived, loved, suffered, and now, thanks to archaeology, are remembered once more. A 2,400-year-old warrior's helmet found in an ancient burial site. Near the village of Zakatorak on the Peliesak Peninsula, about 43.5 miles northwest of Dubrovnik, a team of archaeologists led by Hervoje Potrebica from the University of Zagreb carried out a remarkable excavation that has shed new light on the ancient Illyrian civilization. During the dig, the team uncovered a number of valuable artifacts, including finely crafted jewelry and, most notably, a Greco-Illyrian helmet, only the second of its kind ever found in the region. A similar helmet was previously discovered in 2020. Both helmets date back to the 5th or 6th century BCE, a period when historians believe the Illyrian communities were thriving. Although much about Illyrian culture and language remains mysterious, it is known that the Illyrians lived in tribal societies and grew powerful by controlling key trade routes along the Adriatic coast. The Illyrian tribes on the Peliesak Peninsula are believed to have dominated strategic maritime corridors, enabling them to amass wealth and influence throughout the region. Interestingly, these Greco-Illyrian helmets were likely not part of traditional burial rituals. Archaeologists suspect they may have been added later as symbolic offerings, perhaps to honor the gods or pay tribute to the deceased during a ceremonial rite. According to Hervoye Potrebica, both helmets were discovered separately and arranged in a way that strongly suggests they were votive artifacts. They may have been offerings made to show reverence for the gods or to honor the dead in religious ceremonies. This insight reveals a deep connection between Illyrian communities and their spiritual beliefs. The items found are not just decorative ornaments, but clear evidence of the wealth and status enjoyed by Illyrian societies during that era. Beyond the helmets, archaeologists also uncovered a wealth of other artifacts: pins, jewelry, locks, glass beads, and fibulae, further indicating the prosperity and cultural complexity of Illyrian tribes, as well as their participation in trade and cultural exchange with other ancient civilizations in the region. However, the Illyrian tribes did not endure indefinitely. By the late 1st century BCE, their communities were brutally conquered by Roman forces. As historian Ivan Pamić explains, these burial mounds may have been looted by the Romans when they arrived in the final decades of the 1st century BCE, under the leadership of Octavian, the future Roman Emperor Augustus. The Roman conquest and subsequent destruction led to the abandonment of Illyrian cultural sites and settlements, some shortly after these helmets and artifacts were made. Yet today, the discoveries in Zakotorak and surrounding areas offer not only a rare glimpse into Illyrian life and beliefs, but also the potential to reshape our understanding of Mediterranean history. Until recently, the history of this region was told largely through Greek and Roman sources, often from an outsider's perspective. But these new findings suggest that the Illyrians played a significant and influential role in shaping the ancient Mediterranean world, challenging long-standing historical narratives. Domago Perkic, an archaeologist and curator at the Dubrovnik Archaeological Museum, noted, "The wealth of the community that lived here, as reflected in the many artifacts found in the graves, likely came from controlling strategic trade routes that connected the Adriatic to faraway regions." This statement reinforces the idea that the Illyrians were not merely peripheral tribal groups, but rather important players in the ancient world, whose influence was rooted in commerce, culture, and spiritual life. The 140-million-year-old iron hammer. Few people would expect that this seemingly ordinary hammer would become one of the most controversial discoveries in the scientific community. Unearthed in June 1934 at a limestone quarry near the town of London in Texas, the hammer features a metal head approximately 6 inches long with a diameter of about 3 inches. It was embedded in a piece of limestone dated to be as old as 140 million years, along with other rock fragments. This discovery prompted the scientific world to ask, how could a metal tool possibly exist within such an ancient layer of limestone? The hammer was reportedly discovered by a couple, Emma Zadie Hahn and Max Edmund Hahn. Initially, they didn't think it was anything significant. However, shortly after its discovery, the hammer drew considerable attention from scientists and was sent for examination. Early assessments by some experts dismissed it as a hoax, but further in-depth research and academic investigations revealed that the artifact was far more complex than originally thought. It wasn't a prank, it was a genuine mystery. The first aspect that puzzled scientists was the hammer's wooden handle. After millions of years embedded in limestone, the wood had petrified, while the interior had turned to coal. This is an extremely rare natural occurrence, as wood typically decomposes rapidly under such harsh environmental conditions. The second and even more astonishing detail was the chemical composition of the hammer's metal head. According to studies from the Metallurgical Institute in Columbus, Ohio, the metal consists of approximately 96.6% iron, 2.6% chlorine, and 0.74% sulfur, with no detectable impurities. This is surprising because pure iron has never been found naturally in the history of Earth's metallurgy. Moreover, common metals used in modern steelmaking, such as manganese, cobalt, nickel, tungsten, vanadium, or molybdenum, were completely absent. The chlorine content was unusually high, and there was no trace of carbon, which is typically found in natural iron ores. Overall, from a modern scientific perspective, the metal used in the hammer is not considered high quality. Yet the most fascinating aspect is that the iron is not rusted or shown any signs of corrosion, despite being buried in limestone for millions of years. Dr. K.E. Baffa, director of the Museum of Mineral Antiquities, where the hammer is currently kept, estimates that the tool may have been created sometime between 140 and 65 million years ago, placing it in the Cretaceous period. In contrast, human technological advancement only enabled the production of metal tools like this around 10,000 years ago. This vast discrepancy makes the hammer's existence all the more difficult to explain. After hundreds of analyses and studies, Dr. Hans Joachim Zillmer from Germany concluded that the hammer may have been made by a civilization with technology far beyond anything we currently understand. The manufacturing process behind the hammer could be part of an undiscovered technological mystery, raising serious questions about the possibilities that ancient human history may still be hiding. So, is this hammer evidence of a highly advanced ancient civilization? Or is it simply a scientific anomaly we have yet to explain? While the answer remains a mystery, one thing is certain. This hammer will continue to be a topic of controversy and fascination in the scientific world. Skeleton found with glass bottle placed between the legs. Specifically, during the excavation of an old cemetery on Castle Street in central Hull, part of the £355 million A63 infrastructure project aimed at creating a new junction to reduce traffic congestion, a team of 70 professional archaeologists made a mysterious discovery. Among the thousands of unearthed skeletons, one stood out. It had a blue glass bottle placed between its legs. Inside the bottle was a strange brown liquid. However, scientists have yet to determine exactly what the substance is. The bottle was engraved with the words Hull Infirmary, suggesting that it had been deliberately placed in the grave during burial. This site is known as one of the largest post-medieval cemeteries ever excavated in northern England, and the discovery of the bottle left many stunned. Katie Dowman, who supervised the excavation, stated, "Finding artifacts like rings, coins, clothing, or even cutlery in burial grounds is quite common, but this bottle is unusual. Not only was it placed in a very specific position, between the person's legs, but it was also sealed and nearly full of liquid. The inscription on the bottle became a clue that helped us begin to unravel some of the mystery surrounding the grave." Hull Infirmary was first established in a temporary facility in 1782, just a year before this burial ground opened, and later relocated to a building on Prospect Street in 1784. Katie added, "We now know a little more about the identity of the body. It belonged to a woman in her 60s at the time of her death. She also suffered from rickets and osteoporosis before she passed away." Further tests were conducted to determine the nature of the mysterious liquid. A sample was sent to experts at Nottingham Trent University for advanced analysis. The results revealed the presence of sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. Based on this, scientists concluded that the liquid might be urine. But what would that mean? Why would it be placed there? And if it's not urine, what else could it be? These questions continue to puzzle archaeologists and scientists alike. However, according to Katie, there is another theory currently under investigation. The liquid may have been a type of phosphate-based tonic. These kinds of drinks were popular in the 19th century and were marketed as remedies for various ailments, including tuberculosis. Still, researchers cannot say anything definitively at this time. Further tests are underway in hopes of finding a conclusive answer soon. Dear friends, the archaeological mysteries we've just explored are only a small part of the vast history still buried beneath the earth. Each discovery not only amazes the scientific community, but also sparks our curiosity and sends chills down our spines as we confront humanity's mysterious past. How many more secrets are waiting to be uncovered? Join me on this ongoing journey of exploration to uncover truths that could change the way we see the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. For now, goodbye and see you next time.